I have 15 minutes now.
The working part of the house.
Well, Robin, I really,
Yeah, one after the other. You can't shoo me away all the time.
do you have to do that right this second?
Yeah,
Why?
because I'm taking a shower and I'm going out to something at a little before 5.
I'm live.
Okay. Need your permission.
Hi, Ryan.
Hey, Gary.
How are you, Ryan?
Surviving.
What was your take on last night?
It went okay. Yeah.
I thought at first it was, get out of here. And then it was, all right, maybe we can work with it.
Yeah.
Is there any way we can push the closing date far enough to have a septic investigation there?
I don't know. I mean, we can delay the closing date if the Gauthiers are so inclined.
Right.
As long as it's not too far, I don't think it would be a huge issue. But if there's extensive site work that needs to be done to evaluate the systems, that might take longer than what they would be willing to extend the deadline to. So
Can I make one suggestion, Ryan?
Yeah.
I think it was Bowler who did the septic report for 95 Lawrence. We could reach out to them. You could, or the housing folks could, and see how long it would take and how much it would cost. As I recall, MHP paid for that.
Yeah.
Not the county, but MHP, or was that the county money?
I don't know who paid for it. I don't, if it's MHP, they wouldn't fund it for the current use of the site.
But would it be worthwhile just on the what if proposition for us to put in a request for that? There's the round of 100,000, 250.
Yep.
In the county that closes in September.
Yeah, that would be the first funding source to seek.
Right. So would it be worthwhile to essentially take the Bowler report, say we need this for 80 State Highway? And that one was more extensive, honestly, because it also talked about the comparison between the IA system and a true wastewater management system.
Yeah.
I think if I remember correctly, Kurt and his committee put that together.
Yeah. Yeah. Or they were involved. But
they were involved because I sit in a couple of them representing housing on that.
Yeah.
But is it worthwhile to talk to Kurt and see if we could put in a letter of intent for that? And I think it was in the order of 75,000.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the direction I'm leaning.
Yep.
And then to kind of give them a timeline, I mean, we did our best to kind of explain, some of the, we can't move as quick as a private party, essentially.
It's really two conflicting good causes. And I somewhat take exception. We're not exactly like the guy down the street where the town, and we're trying to do something for the town. But anyway, be that as it may, I don't think they're going to give you a carte blanche.
No,
So, I mean, if we said we had put in for that, would that at least show good faith? Or that we heard them?
yeah, I mean, we'll just have to see what they say. We're going to try to have some additional things for them to weigh.
Right.
The next meeting along those lines. So, but the ball's in their court. I'm going through the Title V regs right now. Yeah, there's actually,
Right. So unless we can find some loophole in the regs themselves. But even so, I think both for the Board of Health and for the citizens at large, if we had a plan that we could say, okay, we understand septic's an issue and here's what we're doing about it. So, are you there?
yeah, I'm
Oh,
here. So,
okay, so if there's anything we can do to help on that, let me know, but I guess I would sort of pitch it to Kurt. Can we put that in, and can we provide him with some support to do that?
yeah, we'll have to see. So looks like
All right.
Title V actually allows you 5 years to upgrade. I don't know, but they don't want to hear that.
No, but in 5 years, I mean, first of all, maybe that's the compromise with the Gothiers, that rather than 6, we run it for 5 years. That doesn't mean we're going to close it down at the end of 5 years, but that we commit to do it at least 5 years. Then on the flip side, we would have to actually put together a plan.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Hi, Karen.
Hello,
How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Good. Did you give up the dentist to come to this meeting?
No, this time in clear. I went to the dermatologist, but I'm here.
This week I had a tooth pulled
Oh,
and they had to do a bone graft.
yep, they did that for me. Did you go to Theodorus and Meyer and?
No, I went to Cape Side in, they're also in Hyannis by the hospital, but anyway, they do that, and then they have to do a membrane for your sinus canal.
I did that too.
Oh, so how long did it take for you to recover from that?
Oh, it didn't really bother me. I was okay. How are you? You okay?
Yeah, it's still, I can definitely feel it still, but
Oh, yeah. Well, wait until they screw in the little metal plug.
yeah, that's the next thing.
That's where I am now.
Oh, so you have had that done?
Yeah, I put in the plug the other day.
Oh, good. And how was that?
Oh, that was fine.
Oh, good. And the only thing I really objected to, did you do this? did they do this to you? They actually use a hammer?
Yes,
Yes.
I said, now I know what a woodpecker feels like.
That was- Ryan, they actually take a hammer and loosen your tooth as if it were a nail to the quill. So,
Yeah, no thanks.
yeah, I would choose not on this, but
I'll be right back, okay?
sure, take your time.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, here I am.
Excellent to have you back.
Hello. I'm sorry about the other day. All of a sudden, I was like, oh my God, missed it. Or no, I guess by that time you didn't have a quorum because when I tried to sign in, there was nothing there.
Appreciate you taking time on a beautiful day.
I can't hear you.
You can hear me?
You're not very loud. Let me check my my mic. No, I'm at 100%. Okay.
So I'll speak up.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So we have another few minutes before the other folks join us. I'm just getting the material up to talk about.
Okay. So Ryan, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
So the parking warden negated the parking ticket. Or you don't know him. I sent the Board of Selectmen a note. We got a parking ticket down on Samoset here where there is no parking sign and where everybody parks. And occasionally the parking warden comes by and gave out, I don't know, about 8 tickets. That was it. I guess that's a salary, you know?
They
Are
have
you
been,
on the dirt section?
I'm sorry?
Are you on the dirt section?
We were on the dirt, yeah. No, not in the roadway going down to the beach, but across the way. You know, by the where the sail people are supposed, the rigging section,
Yep.
but not in front of the rigging section.
Yeah, I'd like to make that a parking area.
Well, I mean, the thing is, you're giving out, or the town is giving out all these licenses for oyster, for shellfishing,
Yeah, there's nowhere to park.
and then there's nowhere to park, It'll piss a lot of people off, as it did me. So,
Yeah, I mean, the rigging area, the matting is still there.
so
And then like, yeah, I think that whole area should just be a parking area.
yeah.
That would solve half the problem. So,
Anyway, so that was my gripe for last week.
At the ponds, they seem to be actively giving out tickets these days.
Yeah. Well, I guess we have a new parking warden.
Oh, is that right?
I think so. Is that right, Ryan?
I don't know. So,
Okay. Hello, Jan. She has to unmute. Okay, there you go.
Hi,
Hello.
Gosh, oh, wait a second.
did you say something to me?
I'm talking to myself.
Well, as long as you don't
I got
answer,
a new,
it's okay.
I got a new computer and I'm still trying to figure it out.
Okay.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, how
Jan.
are
Hi,
you?
John.
Hi, Gary.
Hi, Don, how are you?
Okay.
Hi, Dan.
Hi,
We'll get started in a minute. Thank you all for taking
Gary,
time.
can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Are you on mute?
I don't think so. No.
No,
Can you not hear me? Huh,
I can hear you.
I don't hear you.
that's odd. You're saying some of you can hear me? Raise your hand if you can hear me. Susan, I think it's something at your end. Everyone else seems to hear me.
So no one can hear me, but everyone else
Oh,
can hear each other
No, we hear you.
No.
Should I
we can
try
hear you.
signing back in?
Yeah, try that.
Yeah, try that.
Okay, I don't
Well,
know.
wait,
what-
she's
I'm gonna
hearing us.
leave and try to
Wait.
sign back in.
But wait, you can't
Wait,
leave
wait.
me until
Are
I
you
call the
hearing?
meeting.
Are you hearing us? Oh, she's gone.
Yes,
Okay.
we're hearing each other. It's just
Yeah.
Susan who couldn't hear. Here she comes. Ask to unmute.
Gary, I'm going to have to leave around 10:05.
We're going to be done by then. John, I promise you that I'm not going to take a lot of this beautiful afternoon. So
I'm still going to leave at 10:05.
whether we're done or not, that's right. I appreciate it.
Yes.
Well, thank you
Okay.
all for coming out. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We do have a quorum.
Yay.
So
Yay.
officially, I have to wait another minute to start the meeting, and I will do that indeed.
Oh, Ryan's with us too.
Ryan is going to explain and I think I'm going to take this out of order so we don't hold Ryan up, although he's welcome to listen to the rest of the meeting. But after we do the minutes, if it's okay with everybody, I'll take up the warrant vote,
Mhm.
because the two more recent ones, I think we can explain reasonably, but the ones that are the zoning changes, I think we need more information on that. Okay, it is 4 o'clock, and this is the meeting of the Local Housing Partnership for Thursday, August 25th, 24th, at 4 o'clock, and is being held as a Zoom meeting. So welcome, everybody. I note that we do have a quorum present. The first order of business is the minutes of the previous meeting. Would someone like to move the minutes?
I'll move the minutes.
Thank you, John. Second, please.
I wasn't present. I don't know if I can second them.
Well, I wrote them, but if I can second them, I second them.
Well, I was going to say I was there and I didn't write them, so I will second them. So they've been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion, changes or edits that people would like to suggest? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes of the July meeting signify by saying aye and raising your hand. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? Thank you very much. So if I have your agreement, I'm going to suggest that we take the agenda slightly out of order since we have Ryan with us. Hi, Ann.
Hi, Gary.
And
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Judy.
Aye.
If it's okay with everybody, I'm going to take the item out of order on the agenda, and the next we'll consider the vote of the town warrant articles for the September 10th special town meeting. Is that okay with folks?
Gary, you should do this as a roll call vote. As an
Yes,
official
you
roll
are.
call vote.
Thank you, Jen. You are absolutely correct. Okay, so you have them, and I'm going to pull them up here. I have to start screen sharing. Start screen sharing. One of them is the. Where are they?
6, article number 6, is that the first one?
We're going to take up the partnership, the warrant articles first, and I don't know what happened to them, but I will try and get them up for you. I think they are here and here. Okay, can you see this?
Not yet.
You don't
Not
see
yet.
you don't see the warrant articles?
No.
Hold on just a second. My apologies. Do you see them now?
No.
Nope.
All right, hold on a sec. They are.
Yes, they're coming. There they are.
All right, great, thank you. I apologize for that, folks. Okay, so the first article that has a housing component to it is Article 6, which is the Maurice's campground purchase, and that's to authorize the town to purchase Maurice's. Are there any discussion about this before we move on the recommendation? Okay, so I would entertain a motion for us to consider Article 6 of the special town warrant of September 10th.
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
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 Is there further discussion? Seeing none, then I'm going to, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have a sense of what other uses are
But
in
we have
this
Ryan,
article?
we have Ryan with us.
Yeah.
Ryan, you want to talk about the vision about what's going to happen if it in fact passes?
Yeah, I think we've been pretty clear that, you know, what we want there is primarily housing. There has been some discussion about retaining the portion of the property that contains the store. You know, that right now is, you know, it's too early to tell what to do with that parcel, that part of the parcel. But you know, our plan is really at this time, you know, primarily housing. We really haven't discussed any other use for the property besides housing, really, except for you know, what to do with the store in the long term.
There is a model in Eastham. For those of you who are aware, they a number of years ago bought the Tea Time property, the old golf driving range.
Yeah,
There has been a study committee in Eastham actually working for about a year on what's the best use of that property for the town. And a strong component of it is housing, but there are other things being discussed for that. So I think it's likely that we will go through a similar planning process to say, you know, what does the town really need, when, and where?
And when you say housing, obviously affordable and also divided between year-round, seasonal, rental ownership, or that's not all even talked about yet?
Yes, you are correct, Susan. I mean, I think the discussion with this is that can we accommodate all of those housing needs on one property and in one project? There may be multiple projects that go on that property, but workforce housing, affordable housing, which, you know, the definition there is really about the area median income. So generally speaking, affordable housing is 80% and below. Workforce housing perhaps goes up to 120% of the area median income. And obviously a combination of ownership and rental within both those groups. And then there's been a lot of discussion. I don't, maybe Ryan remembers the number, but I think there are like 75 people who use the campground as temporary living for summer work. So it's a large number of folks that it services. Go ahead, Ann, you have a question?
So is that what Susan's referring to as seasonal? Is that what we're calling seasonal
Yes.
use?
I'm not talking about seasonal residents who live in big fancy houses already.
Right.
And I would say that I think there is a possibility to accommodate all of those needs. The property is big enough and it can be developed for multiple purposes. So we're hopeful on that. We have looked at, can we rehab the cottages that are there to be year-round homes?
Tiny.
Well, yes, but it's like the tiny house idea.
Oh, yeah.
Right, and so there's that possibility, but on the property, there is one, there's one house that's currently rented out, and there are multiple other dwellings that might be put to some use there. So,
And I guess, you know, just to be clear on the seasonal issue, seasonal workforce. So, you know, people who
right.
aren't workforce year round, but are workforce during the busy months.
Right.
Yeah, that's my assumption, or has been my assumption.
And maybe Ryan, if you could expand, my understanding is last night they had the hearing before the Board of Health. I think maybe one or two of you had listened in on that. And it was interesting. I mean, there's a lot of, they're not conflicting interests, but the interests we have to balance between the needs for clean water and the needs for housing. And so I think we require that we get the waiver from the Board of Health in order to go forward with the sale. Is that accurate, Ryan?
I mean, we're seeking a waiver of the upgrade requirements for a period of time. What that time period will be and what conditions are associated with it is still to be determined by the Board of Health. Um, our long-term goal or plan with the property is housing. But it also probably would have a cluster decentralized sewer system similar to what is being installed at 95 Lawrence Road, where the system would serve not only whatever is developed on the property, but a number of the surrounding properties, which some of them are pretty large. You have, the cinemas with a really large septic system, um, you know, connecting those to a high performing system yields a lot of benefits, but getting there is going to be the issue. So
And there is just as an FYI, there has been a discussion with Eastham about hooking up to their public water system, drinking water now. And that would broaden what we could do at that property in terms of the regulations. Are there other questions about Article 6? Okay, so it's been moved and seconded. And as Jan suggested, we should, if there are no further questions, no further comments, I'll call the question and take a vote on recommending Article 6. And this is the recommendation which will be delivered to the floor of the town meeting since the warrant has already been issued. So roll call vote, just on the order that I have on my screen. Karen? Aye or nay?
Yes.
Aye, okay, very good.
Yeah.
Susan?
I,
Olga's not our official. Anne?
Aye.
Jan?
Aye.
Judy, congratulations on being sworn in, Judy.
Aye.
Official vote. And the chair votes aye. Did I miss anybody? Are there any, I don't think there are anybody left to vote, but any nays or any abstentions? All right, so the next article is the Maurice's funding article from the CPC. So let me give you some, first of all, would someone like to move that we consider Article 7 for recommendation at town meeting?
I move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Thank you, Anne. It's been moved and seconded. Are there comments or questions? Yes, Jan.
My question is this money in addition to the 6.5 million that we're talking about in the previous article, or as part of the 6.5?
It's in part. I'll explain the funding. So the original request came from the town for $1,050,000 to the CPA committee, and it's for support of the 6.5 million. So it's not in addition to, but it's a way of paying for the 6.5 million.
Okay, thank you.
As a practical matter, the town went out and we're required to get a outside appraisal for, and this only applies to 3 acres of land to be deed restricted on the property. And so those 3 acres are, if you look at the property from Route 6 and you're looking at the store, they are to the right of the store and abutting Village Lane. So they're very nice 3 acres of land. So the town went out to get an appraisal of those 3 acres. And we were told by the appraiser that they had an appraisal value of $650,000. Since then, the town administrator has raised an interesting question. The appraisal document said that they're worth $825,000, but that they took off all the costs associated with the sale of the property. But in point of fact, we couldn't sell that property once it was deed restricted. The town couldn't sell that property. So a lot of those costs, the question became, could we take the higher valuation? And we're waiting to hear whether or not we can use the higher valuation of 825,000. But for the sake of the discussion, the only material information we have is that the appraisal is for $645,000. The CPA has recommended funding in two ways. One is an outright grant of the money that we currently have available that we can apply to this purchase. And that's the 41,000 and the 144,000. So the proposal here is that the CPA will give a grant of 186,000. And then the remainder, which would be 650 less than 186 or 458, would be in the form of bond support. So each year, the CPA would give a grant to the town of approximately, if that number holds up, it's in descending, but if we assume a 30-year bond at 4.5%, then the requirement would be a payment of starting at about 30,000 and then declining over the life of the bond. Where
So that's an upfront grant of 186,000 and then,
you are correct.
okay,
So it would mean that we have in hand money of 186,000 that we could apply to this purchase. And then the balance would be bond support. The bond is held not by the CPA, but by the town. So we're just a funding source, the CPA in this. So we would give them the money to pay for that portion of the bond going forward. Yes, Ann.
So I'm just trying to understand it a little more totally. This
Sure.
3 acres is separate and adjacent to the existing $6 million
No.
purchase?
So let's go back.
Okay.
The whole purchase is 21 plus acres, excuse me.
Yeah,
In order for the town to use CPA funds, they have to designate the property that's going to be used for housing. And they have to put a deed restriction on it. The deed restriction comes from the state. And so in order to do that, we had to define a specific piece of property, remembering that our agreement to buy the property was to maintain for 6 years the campgrounds and the trailer park and the cottages. So a lot of the potential land that we could have deed restricted was not available to us. So actually Ryan did a fabulous job of finding 3 acres that we could identify and put a deed restriction on, and therefore use CPA funds to help support the purchase. Ultimately,
and theoretically, potentially move that along before the 6 years is up on the running the campground.
you are correct. So
Mhm.
just as an example, and we've had some discussion, well, we could, do affordable home ownership on those 3 acres separate
Yeah.
from the others. But I'm hopeful that we'll have a coordinated approach
Right,
in a relatively short period of time.
but the 1,050,000 is part of the 6.5 million.
Right, and the 1,050,000 will be reduced at town meeting to either 645,000 or
Or
up to 800.
Okay,
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Sure thing. So that's really what this says. And that land, those 3 acres adjacent to Village Lane, can only be used for housing. So you were talking about multiple uses in the previous article. In
Right.
this article, that land can only ever be used for housing, affordable housing. One interesting note on this, CPA allows you to go up to 100% of AMI
Mhm.
here. And that is actually higher than what the DHC, the State Department of Housing and Community Development deed writer uses. So we're seeing whether we can do it at 100%. And just as an FYI, I think I've made this comment before, but the area median income for Barnstable County has really shot up. It's much higher now than it was 2 years ago. I think, anybody know why?
Old people retiring with a lot of money.
That's part A, and part B is all the people who found I can work remotely and live in Wellfleet or live
Right.
on the Cape. It's really quite high right now, the area median income. So we can accommodate a lot of people, even though we have crazy house prices at 100% of AMI. Okay, any other questions or comments about this article? I'm going to call the vote, and I'm going to ask for the vote, a roll call vote by what appears on my screen. Susan,
Aye.
Judy,
Hi.
Sorry, it's over here, but it doesn't work over there.
Hi, sorry.
that's okay. Karen,
Aye.
Yes.
Jan,
Aye.
Ann,
Oh. Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Did I get everybody? Any
Do I
nays?
vote?
I'm sorry, John, I apologize. And John,
Aye.
thank you, John. I apologize for that. Okay, so it seems unanimous. Any nays or any abstentions? Thank you all. Just a note, Susan,
Yep.
would you send Rebecca Eldridge as part of this process, a notification that of all the votes that we take today to be recorded at town meeting?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Okay, so the next one, and the reason that Brian is here is the zoning housing related articles, which are articles 16. Is that the first one?
You might want to take a vote on,
Go ahead.
I think Article 8.
8.
Yeah,
What is, I'm sorry.
the operational costs.
Oh, do you think that that's within our purview, Ryan? I guess it didn't hurt to take it. So let me just explain very briefly to folks. Article 8, it's an anomaly of state government or municipal government. The campgrounds have good revenue coming in, okay? But we can't use that revenue until after we appropriate it at town meeting next year. So in the spring of 2023, we'll have the revenue from the campground operations, whether we run it ourselves or whether we farm it out. But we can't use that money until then. But we obviously have costs associated with the operation of the campground. So this is simply a way to deal with those costs in that interim period between the time that we take title to it and the time that we have town meeting and can begin to use the revenue. So this says we're going to appropriate $225,000 to pay for those expenses.
Are we being asked for our recommendation? It
Yeah,
doesn't really seem like it's in our purview.
I don't think so either, Jan, but I don't mind. Ryan, obviously, let's just, are there, well, first of all, would someone like to move this so we can have official discussion?
Sorry.
I move.
Thank you very much, Karen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much, Ann. So it's been moved and seconded. Are there other questions? Jan, oh, go ahead, Karen.
I don't know if this is the appropriate time, but do we know what the revenue from Maurice is now?
We did that. I would say there, and Ryan, help me, I don't remember their names, but there are a couple of folks on a committee that are part of the task force that have really done some yeoman work about looking at the revenue for the last few years, projecting it forward as well as projecting the cost forward. So
Mhm.
we believe that there will be a healthy revenue in addition, above and beyond any costs that we can use to apply for the running of the campground over the required 6 years, as well as to help pay for the debt service on the 6.5 million.
Okay,
Okay, any other questions on this? So it's been moved and seconded that we make a recommendation regarding Article 8 of the warrant. And I will take this in the order in which I see them. Karen,
aye.
Jan,
Aye.
Susan,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
hoping not to miss John this time. Don,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. And, oh
Is
wait,
Sharon
was
on?
Sharon on? Ah, excellent.
Sharon,
Sharon,
she's
I'm
here, I
sorry.
think.
She,
Aye.
much of her.
Very good. Well, we see about a quarter of you, Sharon,
Oh.
but that's all right. We hear you fine. Thank you very much for joining us. Okay, so the next order of business is the housing related zoning changes that are in the warrant. And I asked Ryan to join us, and as well as Olga, who's a member of the planning board, to help us understand what is being proposed. So let me go down to that portion of the warrant. Okay, zoning bylaw, cottage colony. Olga or Ryan, do you want to explain this?
Sure. So currently, by definition, cottage colonies are restricted to seasonal use only. Well, I would say not 3-season use only. It doesn't allow for them to be occupied from January to March, or from December to March. And so there's a number of these units in the town, and as we know, we're dealing with serious housing issues. And because they're on the smaller side, they're much less expensive than a single family home. The current price for one of them is around 400,000. It really depends on the location, of course. Ones near the highway go for in the $200,000 to $300,000 range. Ones on the water go for significantly more because they're on the water. So this bylaw strikes out the restriction of allowing them to be basically allowing them to be occupied on a year-round basis. The remaining provisions over the size limit that was pre-existing in the current bylaw, and then it inserts a new definition for cottage colonies within the National Seashore Park District. The reason, and basically, it prohibits them from being built in all current zoning districts. And it retains the restriction for a 3-season use. And the reason because of the reason behind that is the seashore would consider them they would consider I don't know the best word to phrase it, but I checked with the Laura McKean, and basically the seashore, it would be incompatible in their opinion with the founding legislation of the seashore. So I basically, yeah, I mean that's the bylaw. Sorry, I'm not very eloquent today.
Right, are there questions regarding this? Anything you would like to add, Olga?
On mute. No. But I can add that the planning board was concerned, and this is maybe half the planning board, about people taking advantage of putting in a year-round house and making a lot of money. But I think the good that it could do outweighs that, and that's where I stand. I would like to see it supported.
What was the planning board's vote, Olga?
I've forgotten whether one was 3-4 and the other was 4-3.
Yeah, this one was 4-3.
4-3 in favor, okay.
No, 4-3 against.
Opposed?
Again.
Yeah.
All right. So I'd say that was the 3-4. So,
I could say that it's clear that a lot would have to be done to make them livable as far as septic and, other regulations. So it's not just going to happen. And it could cost a lot of money, but, we may be able to do it in certain circumstances. So we would like to support it.
I think the reality is that the cottage colonies that are, a little less elaborate and a little further from the water are probably more likely to be affordable. And it
Mhm.
probably will be that the ones that are in different positions or in different states, they may in fact get a windfall out of this. But I think that remains to be seen.
Well, I might add that some of the planning board wanted an overlay district so that those that were inland
Right.
could do it, but not those that were on the seashore, that had coastal views.
Right, and the argument I think on the other side is that these are now seasonal use dwellings, and that if they become year-round, they obviously take up more resources and have more of an effect on the environment. Is that fair to say, Olga?
Where I live, where there are a number of cottage colonies, they are so packed with cars during the season that I think that concern goes out the window.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much use of water and septic for those, 3 months. That I think we're kidding ourselves that it's going to be less, that it's going to be more detrimental to have it year round. That's my opinion.
Well, for the sake of this discussion, would someone like to move consideration of Article 16?
I have questions, Gary.
I think we should move and second it, Jan.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's right.
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second
I'll
it.
second it.
Thank you very much, John or Susan. Go ahead, Jan, now.
Okay, I have a general question on all three of these through you, Gary, to Ryan, and then I have a comment on this specifically. So my question to Ryan is, at the time the warrant was printed, had town council reviewed and responded to any of these three bylaws or all of these three proposed bylaws? And if so, were his or her comments incorporated into them?
The final text that you see in the warrant is the text that was provided by town council after review.
Really?
Yes.
For all three of these?
Yep.
Well, okay, then
So
Short of
Could
a
I-
few typos, I think. Is that right, Ryan?
well,
Jan, raise your, let Jan speak.
okay, so I'm a little, town council approved them as they appear.
Yep.
Huh, okay. I don't object to any of these in principle, but for example, with this one, okay, let's say I buy a cottage and now I'm gonna live there year round. That's no longer a commercial use. So shouldn't cottage colony be listed also under residential use? And how do you go in the use charts? And how you go about doing that without creating confusion? I don't expect an answer from you, but that's something I thought about. That's no longer a commercial use, it's a residential use. Is that gonna become an issue? With, I'm just thinking the legalese of all these, and is there confusion for the zoning board or anybody else?
Yeah, I mean, for the cottage colonies, almost all of them are in residential districts currently.
I understand, but it becomes a residential use, not a commercial use. So, you know, my question, and again, I don't expect you to answer it. It's a question for town council, but I'm not gonna have the ability to ask town council. So,
Yeah.
okay, go on.
And I would just add that Eastham has adopted a similar bylaw as well.
I know, I don't care about East Ham's bylaw, because our bylaw isn't East Ham's, and it has to mesh with our bylaws.
Yes,
That's my concern. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, the town council reviewed all of them, and the final text in the warrant is the language that was provided by town council after review.
Okay,
That doesn't mean that they, Jan, following, it doesn't mean that they're absolutely right.
yeah, I know, I know.
If you have a concern, we can raise it now, but also raise it with, either the planning board or the moderator or
Well,
on the
Planning
floor
board,
of town,
yeah.
on the floor of town meeting.
Yeah.
Karen, yes.
Yeah, so I'm looking at this and if a cottage colony has been condoized, it's no longer commercial, is that correct? There is not one person earning the money from the cottage colony. It's now residential. Is that correct?
Some of them.
If it's a condo colony, each one is owned separately by the owner of that particular dwelling.
Yeah.
Understand? Yeah.
They're still considered cottage colonies under the zoning bylaws.
So I'm just asking, should that be defined differently? If it's a condo colony, if it's condos, or if it's a cottage colony that's owned by one person? That's all.
Gary, if I might, from my understanding, all references to, I think there used to be a condo bylaw in the bylaws, but you can't a zoning bylaw cannot address ownership. So it doesn't, you can't differentiate, as I understand it, by ownership.
So
Whether it's a condo
regardless of the basis of ownership, it really doesn't apply to this article. Is that what you're saying?
They're still cottage colonies.
You're still cottage colonies, regardless of whether
Under the bylaw,
one
yeah.
person owns them, a bunch of people own them.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Let me just say that I think you should be confident about your vote here. If you're unsure, there's no reason we can't either take no vote, or you can vote either no or abstain, and that will be reported on the floor of the town meeting. As we heard about the planning board, they had mixed feelings about this. So are there other questions before I call this one? Comments? Okay, so I'm going to call the question here for recommendation regarding Article 16. And again, I'll take these only on the order in which I have them on my screen now. Karen.
Ugh. I don't like making this decision.
Well, then defer, Karen. I mean,
Okay, yes, thank you.
You can abstain.
you're abstaining.
You have to say it.
You have to say it, Karen.
I'm sorry?
You have to say it. I abstain.
Oh, I abstain, yes, thank you.
Okay, John,
I'm going to abstain because ownership is really confusing in how it's laid out here.
very good. All right, Susan,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
Sharon.
Susan, I asked, Judy, I asked,
You need me.
Ann.
Did you say Anne or Jan?
I said Ann.
Okay.
Okay, sorry.
You ready?
Negotiations on a whole totally different subject going on here.
Right.
Ann, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Jan,
Abstain.
thank you. And the chair, I'm going to vote aye on this one.
What about Sharon?
Sharon, oh, I forgot you're with us now. Sharon, how do you vote? Or maybe we lost Sharon.
Okay,
I don't
well, there she is.
I don't see her.
She's there now.
Sharon, can you hear us? Oh, there you are. Sharon, Sharon, are you recording a vote on this? All right.
So-
I think we're having connection. I'm sorry, Sharon, can you hear us?
Yeah, she's frozen.
Okay, for the sec, Susan, can you read the vote back? What is the vote as it stands today?
Well, as the vote as it stands now is 4-3 on Article 16. Just for the record, so on the other three, I don't have a vote from Sharon, so those are all 7-0.
Right, I don't think we can go back and take Sharon's vote if she.
Aye.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry. On the Cottage Colony Article 16, Sharon, are you voting aye?
Aye.
All right, very good. All right.
Okay, so that
then
vote is now
5-0 and 3,
5-3.
but it's 5 yeses, 0 nos, and 3 abstentions.
Correct.
5-0-3 is how we'll record that vote.
Okay.
Okay, so let us move to the next zoning article. And that is Article 17, and that is affordable dwelling development. And Ryan, I'm going to defer to you on this. Can you explain this this article?
Sure. So there's a bylaw currently on in the zoning bylaws for it's called sorry, I don't have the exact name. It's provisions to encourage the development of affordable dwellings in Wellfleet. And this basically modifies that article because of some concerns that town council raised with the article that's actually after this, where the bylaw that's currently on the books is the only bylaw that includes its own recommendation or its own definitions. And so when I use affordable dwelling and the other bylaw, town council said that there was a conflict in the zoning bylaws because this bylaw contained its own set of definitions. So as a result, this is moving the definitions into the definitions table. It modifies affordable dwellings, which are, as currently written, are only allowed in Wellfleet in conjunction with affordable dwelling development subdivision. So that was removed, or that part of the definition was removed. And then use table was inserted as well. There is actually another use table that the select boards voted on since, which changes the affordable dwelling development to be a prohibited use within the National Seashore Park District. The remainder of the use table remains unchanged. And then the remainder are basically town council correcting the pre-existing bylaw and bringing it up to current standards. Yeah, the,
So I apologize, Ryan. I should have asked for a motion on this. Would someone like to move a recommendation on Article 17?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Is there a second?
Second,
Second,
Thank you. And now we had Ryan's discussion. So Ryan, if I net this out, this is first of all, the bylaw that's being amended here,
yes,
nothing has ever been developed on.
sorry, what?
No dwelling has ever been developed using this bylaw.
No,
So this is a technical change in a bylaw that has never been used, that really has to do with the next bylaw and bringing it into conformity. in terms
well,
of
both the
language.
next bylaw and just how things are applied generally.
Okay.
So the affordable dwelling, as currently written, I should pull up the pre-existing bylaws. It's only allowed currently as in conjunction with one of these developments. There's, yeah,
So could I just clarify?
Sure, go ahead.
So is this now saying that an individual could decide, I'm gonna build a house that's more affordable and it's not part of a development, but I want permission for it to only be 900 square feet or whatever? Is that, am I getting that? This is
no,
taking like individuals' ability to build an affordable home?
no.
No?
So, I mean, it basically, the requirement for affordability, I mean, basically any dwelling could be have an affordability restriction attached to it at any time. You know, it shouldn't matter if it's, you know, if it's a single family home, let's say that's currently existing, that, you know, that could be, you know, currently without an affordability restriction, but could at a later date have an affordability restriction placed on the property. So that, and yeah, so I think it was unintentional that it was done that way, as currently done in the zoning bylaws. And this just updates it and corrects it essentially.
Olga, did you want to make a
I
comment?
just wanted to correct, I think I'm right, that this is for affordable development. It's development of housing that require a certain percentage to be affordable. So it's not for single houses.
No, it's also for single family houses as well.
But if you wanted to make it deed restricted or.
Yeah, so currently, this is the definition of that's contained within the bylaw as currently currently on the books. This is not the one that's before you tonight. It's dwelling affordable. A dwelling unit which is subject to an affordable dwelling restriction pursuant to section 6.28.7, which is this bylaw, and on a minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet. I mean, so this corrects that and removes this part where it says pursuant to the bylaw, and then it doesn't, again, the minimum lot size has nothing to do with the, you know, the affordability of a dwelling. I mean, that right now, as currently drafted, the only permissible affordable dwellings of any kind are pursuant to the pre-existing bylaw of the affordable, you know, dwelling developments and yeah.
All right. I note that John has to go. And maybe we can get this voted. Are there other comments that folks or
Yeah.
questions?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You know, I didn't have a chance to go over this line by line, but a couple of things that really struck me that I don't understand at all. And speaking of this definition that Ryan was talking about, it was written specifically for this bylaw to only relate to this bylaw. And what's been done is you've taken out the specifics, made it general, and you've put that you've said that an affordable dwelling is permitted in any zoning district, I think, except the National Seashore. And then you go on in this amended what now is 6.28, and repeatedly use that term affordable dwelling and talk about special permit requirements. I don't know how you could possibly say that they need special permit requirements when you've already put in the use chart that they're allowed by right. I think this is really a confused bylaw. I don't understand also the reasoning behind why you have a new definition for special permit granting authority when section 8.4.2 special permits clearly delineates when the zoning board and the planning board are these special permit granting authorities, and it was written by town council. I have serious issues with this.
Yeah, this has been reviewed by town council
Okay.
at this point.
Unless I talk to town council, I have serious problems with it.
So basically by using in here the pre-existing bylaw, the definition of affordable dwelling, basically you can't use affordable dwellings anywhere else in any other bylaws.
You'd have to use a different term.
Yeah,
Which can easily be done.
but for this, it's actually a type of subdivision, and not actually about the units themselves. So it's
okay. Ryan, it's okay.
Yeah.
We're trying to get in a vote. I find
Well,
it.
that's right. I mean, better that we correctly understand it than we rush the vote on it. So are there other questions or comments that folks have? Maybe, Olga, what did the planning board do on this?
I can't comment right now about.
You can tell us what the vote was.
Yeah. But this, the business of the definition of dwelling affordable. I think I'm confused too right now, but I believe it stays in, is it not in this bylaw itself? It hasn't been moved.
No, it's taken out.
it's moved to the definitions table that's for the zoning
To the-
bylaws.
It's moved to definitions.
And it's no longer specific to this bylaw.
Well, it's specific, it ends up being specific to this bylaw, but it is in definitions.
Ryan,
Yeah,
can we not consider this? Well, we can obviously not consider it for a vote, but can we, if this doesn't pass, can the next article pass? Or is one tied to the other?
they're not necessarily tied to the other. This one, the planning board did vote in favor of. I don't know what the actual vote was. And town council was there and explained the changes to them in depth. I mean, the current bylaw includes certain provisions that are not consistent with current state requirements. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I did was move the definitions into the definitions table where they belong, and to provide a use table. And the change to the definition was actually one that was recommended by town council.
Okay. So, Olga, did you?
Well, the very beginning of this Article 17 defines dwelling affordable. after affordable dwelling development. So that is the definition in the definition section of the zoning bylaw. Then it is also put on the use table as well.
So affordable dwellings, so, yeah, this, the affordable dwelling developments, which are a type of subdivision, which includes, you know, a restriction on a certain number of the resulting units being subject to affordable deed restriction. And there's affordable dwellings, which are both those and any other affordable dwelling built in the town of Wellfleet. And that's what the correction is.
And you've made them all by right.
No,
So for
use
building an
table, in
affordable
the new use
dwelling,
table.
it doesn't matter. I mean, they're, you know, you're allowed to build a single family home in all zoning districts of the town of Wellfleet by right. And, you know, so that's what's allowed. It's still a single, in that instance, it's still a single family home. Just that it's subject to an affordable deed restriction. You know, I mean, it has nothing to do with what's actually built. It just has to do with the fact that it's subject to an affordability restriction placed on the deed.
and may I add that the development requires a permit, a special permit.
Mhm.
So once you get that special permit, anyone can do an affordable dwelling in it, and certain number of them are required in such a development. Does that make sense?
No, not as it's written, not to me, as it's written, but
So
you know,
the-
there's no point in us discuss, you know,
Well,
we're not gonna solve it.
Let me make a
We're just wasting time.
Either I would consider a motion to table this and we make no recommendation, or I'm happy to go forward with the vote and people will vote according to, you know, their understanding of it. What's the sense of folks? Shall we take the vote, or Ann? Go ahead. Were you waving your hand, Ann?
Yeah, I make a motion that we, defer totally,
Okay, so
Yeah, not vote on it.
there's a motion to table. So
Well, I think, Gary, what you need to do is make no recommendation. Maybe that's what you have to do.
right, well, but there is the recommendation. I guess the motion on the floor is to make a recommendation or to consider for recommendation. So if we all, I think we have to table it. And Jan, before we can, if we table it, we take no motion, we take no action. So is that what people would like to do? Yes, I see some yes.
Aye.
And
Aye.
wait a minute. So motion, I move that we table it. Has it been seconded?
I'll second.
I'll second it.
All right, so let's quickly take this. John, how do you vote?
Gary,
So
quick
this-
question.
I'm
Quick
sorry.
question. How do we want this to appear though on the warrant? I mean, not at the warrant, it's too late for the warrant, but
Right.
at town meeting, what do we?
We
What do we
made no
say?
we made no recommendation. We're not voting against it, Jan. We're just making no
So don't we have,
recommendation.
isn't the motion to make no recommendation? That's all I'm asking.
I believe that is the case. I think that.
So to accept that, I'm voting aye.
Aye, okay. So Judy,
Aye.
Ann,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Jan,
Aye.
and are you with us, Sharon? Let's see.
Aaron, I.
Thank you. And the chair actually is voting aye on this as well. So we're
Susan
Susan
abstains.
abstains. Okay, so we have that's really only the vote. I don't think we're reporting that to town meeting. We're simply making no recommendation on this article.
So
Okay.
when I report to Rebecca, I should just say that we made no recommendation on this article.
That's my understanding.
Okay,
Okay, so the next one is Article 18, which has to do with affordable housing lots. So.
Gary, I apologize, but I do
Oh, that's
have
quite
to.
all right,
be
John.
out-
You said that ahead of
be out
time.
of here.
Thank you for all your time today.
Okay, bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye, John.
Yeah,
Okay,
bye.
Ryan, do you want to take a minute and explain this one?
Sure. So this bylaw allows lots that are otherwise basically undersized lots and are not developable or not buildable to be buildable, subject to an affordable deed restriction being placed on the lot. It only allows for a single family house or dwelling to be built on the parcel. And they are allowed by right in all districts except for the National Seashore Park, because the seashore requires a 3-acre minimum lot size. And then the affordable undersized lots are allowed by special permit. Those are lots that are under 10,000 square feet. It's unlikely that they would be built outside of a sewer being installed that could service the property. There is a limited number of these parcels in town. There are 18 that have a high probability or relatively high probability of being buildable under this bylaw, and 26 which are potential but have issues that might preclude their development, primarily relate to setbacks from resource areas. This bylaw does not allow for additional bedrooms beyond the amount that is supportable by the law and consistent with title, septic installations. And that's subject to the Board of Health approval. There are instances where a lot that is otherwise would be buildable for an affordable dwelling under this proposed bylaw would be functionally unbuildable. And that typically would be as a result of neighboring septic systems and wells not allowing another septic system or a well to be installed on a property. So it's a relatively small number of parcels that are buildable. They are subject to an 80% AMI. And basically the best possible outcome would be for Habitat for Humanity to build, maybe at maximum, probably a dozen affordable houses in the town of Wellfleet under this bylaw. So.
Okay, I apologize once again, but I move consideration of Article 18 of the special town warrant of September 10th. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ann. So Ryan was starting that, and I think I wanted to add to what Ryan. So this is fixed in time. So as of the record of 2 years ago, no new lots can be created under this bylaw. So
Right. There's no new lots that this bylaw would apply to. So a parcel could not be subdivided at a later date and have these or have this bylaw be applied to it and have it be buildable for an affordable dwelling. And again, the final draft that you see before you is the draft that is provided by town council.
Okay, are there questions or comments that folks have about this? This one is relatively
Just
straightforward.
one quick one. I don't mean to be
Go
a
ahead.
pain in everybody's neck. Right, town
No,
council
no,
provided, which
Jen, you're our zoning expert, so.
I'm not an expert, but Ryan, just through you, Gary, So town council provided this, because when I saw contiguous upland as a new definition, I just wanted to make sure someone made sure that it's used many times in the bylaw,
Yep.
that it wasn't in conflict with anything else.
No, it isn't. That
Okay.
the definition is actually the one that was recommended by town council.
Okay, great.
They said like some of the other features could be, a coastal dune going through a portion of the property.
Okay.
That would be considered the feature, which is why it says including but not limited to wetlands.
As long as it meshes with any other use in the bylaw. Because
Yes.
now it'll apply to everything else. Okay. And I'm going to abstain on this because just as a member of the zoning board, just so you understand, Ryan, a member of the zoning board of appeals, that's what I generally do.
Yep.
For zoning bylaws, just because it makes me more comfortable.
Thank you, Jan. Are there other questions or comments that folks have about this one? I see Olga stepped away. I'd ask for her. Oh, Olga, she's back.
I'm listening, I'm cooking.
No, that's right. I don't mean to interrupt your cooking. But do you have anything to add to this or tell
I
us?
don't
about
have
the
anything
planning
to
board?
add.
No? And how did the planning board vote on this?
4-3 for the bylaw.
Thank
Excellent.
you, Ryan.
Right. So in the interest of time, are there any other comments or questions that people have? Then I'll call the question and I'll ask for your vote. And on my screen is Sharon,
Aye.
Karen,
Aye.
Judy,
Aye.
Ann.
Aye.
Let's go up here. I got Jan.
Abstain.
Susan, did I ask for your vote yet?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Anybody I miss? So any other no's or abstentions? Very good. So this is now passed and that completes our consideration of the town warrant. Ryan, thank you so much. And Olga, thank you so much for you're welcome to stay, but we really appreciate your comments on this.
Gary, I have to leave now also. I'm sorry.
Sharon,
Thank
can
you.
you take 1 second? Is that Sharon who is speaking?
Yep.
Sharon, tell us about upcoming events and then I'll take care of the
Okay.
insert.
Okay, so there's Robert Schriefter. You know what? I don't have the information right in front of me. I can send out, if you will send me a list of everybody who's on the committee currently, I can send out just a list of the dates of upcoming events.
Right, so if you just use the partnership announcement that I'd send out each month, there's the list, but I'm happy to send you a different one if you want.
Okay, if that's fine, I'll do that. As I know, there's Robert Schriefter would like to have, he's opening, I think, on September 10th, which is, we'll all be tired from town meeting, but he's got an opening and he would really like to have some housing people there to kind of discuss the situation in housing with gallery visitors. And it will be sort of a housing themed or place themed.
And do you want to, do you have time to say 30 seconds about the opening that we had last week at the Forum Gallery?
Yeah, we had a really great opening at Susie Nielsen's gallery farm, which frankly had a bunch of art, was home-based, but frankly, I'm not enough of an intellectual to understand a lot of the art that and why it represented home to the artist. But I will say that I had 13 of my little 5x5 embroidered housing panels, and they were on sale for $200 each, and 7 of them were sold. Actually 8 today. So I'm pleased with that. And she says generating a lot of conversation. They're still on the wall, so stop in if you get the chance. And she said they're just generating tons of conversation, and people just find them interesting to talk about. So I like that. And a couple of them say wellfleethousing.org on them. So
Excellent.
Yeah. I was pleased.
Anything else you want to share with us at this time? I'll let you go.
I don't know if you passed on the message. Harry and Elaine and I met today with the consultants on new housing assessment
Uh-huh.
plan, and there will be a kickoff meeting in, and I can't remember the date, I think it's September 28th. And they're hoping that all of the members of all three housing committees can be there. Would be a joint meeting it'll be at a trust meeting, so it'd be a Monday, or it might be a Wednesday or something, but it'll be at 7 o'clock. And we'll also be sending out a couple of different things in advance of that. One is what they call a launch. Oh, I can't remember what it is. It's a short questionnaire about what you would like to see result from this process. And I think it's a very interesting thing. And then as we get closer to the meeting, there'll be another thing that gets sent out for your response. So look for those things in late September.
I believe if it's in September, it will be September 26th, Monday.
Well, no, we had to make it on the 28th because the
28th
consultant,
is a Wednesday.
yeah, the consultant was booked on the Monday.
Okay. All right.
So
I'll explain it in more detail.
Good. But it was very exciting. These people really hit the ground running, and I think we're going to get some really great information from this.
Super.
Yeah, great. Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, Sharon, for all your time. I appreciate it.
Sorry to be such a mess.
All right. I apologize for our discussion of the zoning took longer than I expected, but I appreciate everybody's time and patience on that. I think in the interest of time, I have one other thing that I wanted to share with you, which is share screen. Where is it? Is this it? Shoot. Oh, here it is. Can you see that?
Yep,
Yep. Okay. So,
the insert, yep.
right. We had a terrific response to the housing benefit that we had on August 8th. First of all, I thought it was a great evening. We sold almost 150 tickets. Some people gave even more than $40 a piece. So we raised close to $6,000 on ticket sales alone. And then we had at least that much in additional contributions. So we certainly exceeded $12,000 for that evening.
Wow, good.
So that was a really successful night for housing. And I think we raised some consciousness. And I think I'll talk more at a later meeting about what we can do to capitalize on that. But one thing that I did want to bring before you is there was a recommendation at the trust that we do a fall tax insert soliciting donations for housing. And that's this insert, which will be considered at a future select board meeting. And I wanted to share this with you and also ask for your endorsement, essentially a recommendation to place this into the fall tax meeting. Yes, Jan.
Quick question. Are they making the check out to Wellfleet Affordable Housing Trust? Is that how?
Yes, that's
I
what it
hope
said.
so. The answer
Yeah.
is I hope so.
At the bottom, yeah.
At the
No,
bottom,
but it says send the donation to, but is that who it's addressed to? Or, I mean, the check is made out to? Can we do that?
should we change the wording there to make your check out to and send?
So they don't just send it to, because they don't just send it to the town of Wellfleet. Write it
No.
out to the town of Wellfleet, I guess.
But previously, the only way you could make a donation was to make it to the town of Wellfleet, which
Exactly.
I know made a lot of people uncomfortable. So if that's an official change, it would be great to know it.
Yeah,
That's my
maybe.
question. I just couldn't verbalize it.
can.
Thank you, Susan.
You
Jan,
can make it to the trust.
right, as a practical matter, we get them in various forms. And we try to deposit them all into the housing trust. And just as background, we're going through a consolidation of the trust. Remember that there used to be an old trust that was administered by the housing authority that had some money in it. And then since 2019, I believe it is, we the town, created at town meeting the new trust, the new Affordable Housing Trust, and all donations should be going into that, which is a fund of the town. And what's important about that is that donations to the trust are not limited as to use. So it's not limited by AMI, it's not limited by rental or ownership, that those are monies that can be used for various purposes at the discretion of the trust. And we are trying to get to the town an accurate reading of how much we have in there. And I think there is on the order of $200,000 in the trust. So there's some decent money that are in there. But anyway, whether I'll ask that question about how we should word this, Jan, properly to make sure, but most of them do come into the trust.
Okay.
Okay, so other questions you have on this?
I think the first sentence there, help us create, that's kind of wordy.
What happened at the housing benefit, this is picking up on something that we talked about there, was that we're not just building houses, we're building community.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're trying.
No, that's not where I mean it, the sentence underneath.
Which one? Help us create.
Help us create, yeah.
What would you like it to say?
Ugh.
Would you like to send me a suggestion? And I'll be glad to consider.
Yeah, let me think, yeah.
Okay.
And then help support should come down,
Help support.
should come down above buy downs, rental assistance, ADUs.
Probably not room to do that.
Yeah, maybe not.
Just as a practical matter, it cannot take up more than a third of a page.
Yeah, I know.
So it's both the writing, the prose, as well as the format. But I'll certainly, if you want to send me something,
I'll try.
to make any changes you think appropriate.
But this is not what's going in the tax bill. That'll be
Yeah.
something else.
No, this is
No, this is-
right now, unless we make changes to it, this is what would actually go in the tax bill. Do you not like it, Susan? Like it?
No, I do. I'm still confused. So when you pay your taxes, you pay them to the town of Wellfleet. But this says tax deductible donation to Wellfleet.
Okay,
Affordable
so
Housing Trust.
all it does is it's not, it's inserted with the tax, but it's really a separate offering. We did one 2 years ago and we got a huge response.
Right.
I mean, I think we ended up raising in excess of $50,000.
Yeah, can't hurt to ask.
Right, we got one $25,000 donation and then a number of thousands of dollars of donations. So we're
So do we need to vote on this or?
yeah, I think we need to report to the select board that we approved it at the housing partnership. So
Okay, leave it alone then.
oh no, that's all right. If you
No,
want
that's
more-
fine.
all right.
Yeah, I don't mean to be picky.
That's all right. Okay, so Jan, do you have something or you want to make the motion?
Just, are you striking the word housing? Are you replacing it with community or are you leaving that?
It's supposed to be eye grabbing. That's all that is.
Okay, gotcha. No, it's fine. I just was curious. Okay,
No, we're not eliminating housing.
okay,
Right.
I understand.
It's more than housing.
Gotcha.
Okay, so who wants to move this?
Moved, so moved.
Thank you, Peter.
Approved.
Seconded.
Thank you, Ann. It's been moved and second. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye and raising your hand.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, so in the interest of time, is there anything else on the agenda that folks, besides deciding on when our next meeting will be? Is there anything else that we can't defer? No, great. I would agree with that. So generally speaking, we meet on the fourth Thursday of the month, which in September was the second. The first is a Thursday, the 22nd, excuse me, which happens to be the first day of autumn. So that's a scary thought. Anyway, does that work or not work for anybody? The 22nd at 4 o'clock?
It's fine.
Fine?
Fine.
All right. Okay, so we have determined that. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Thank you very much, Karen. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No, any abstentions. Thank you all on this beautiful day for taking your time out. And I'm continually impressed with how good-hearted and goodwill the people are in Wellfleet to work for the betterment of the community. So thank you again.
Thanks, Gary.
Bye.
Everybody have a wonderful
Bye.
night.
You too.
Yeah.
I have to stop the recording. Stop share.